Chicago.
You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration.
I'm not gonna beat around the bush to 9/11 here. This song is fucking dull. In like every way. The instrumentation has this droning, disconnected feel. It takes way too long just to get started. The entire first verse feels like an intro, and whatever build-up this song has can really only be called build-up in comparison to the rest of the song. The vocals are grating. The song calls for a strong, heartfelt performance, but the best we get from Cetera is a depressed whine.
So in love when we're together.
The lyrics just come off as impersonal and bland here. I mean, come on, if this person means so much to you, let us know. All you've given us so far is a checklist of bittersweet nothings paired up to bitter delivery. Yeah, not feeling the love here.
This is just plain boring. In fact, does this sound like a Folgers commercial to anyone else but me?
When I wake up in the morning, the smell of coffee gets me going. Gotta be at work at 9. Need that jolt of brewed Arabica. You should know, everywhere I go, you're always in my pantry, in my cup, in my soul. Coffee Folgers is the classic roast. Folgers is my coffee. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Gotta have my Java, gonna need a caffeine enema. No one needs it more than me. Folgers, 100% Colombian roast coffee.
I mean, come on, I managed to fit in the Folgers slogan in there. If that's not evidence enough, what is?
This is the lowest, least common denominator I think I've ever seen. So generic that it can be applied to literally any situation, but so bland that any situation it's applied to gets dragged down with it. If you made an alien listen to thousands of love songs, then asked him to write one, this is what it would sound like. A song like this should demand your attention, but this practically forces me to tune out.
Yeah, not one of Chicago's better songs, I'm afraid. Assuming they made better songs. Honestly, as far as mid to late era Chicago songs go, it's par for the course. Which is exactly what lands it here. Uninteresting, unmemorable, and not worth a minute more of my time. Next.
Number 4. Didn't these guys have dignity at one point? I'm no Starship expert, of course, but from what I've heard from them, they used to be like an actual genuine act back in the early 80s. Why the fuck did they let this slip through?
Someone always playing corporation games.
It's just so light, flashy, and stupid. Now, you could call this a big selling out point for Starships, or you could just call it shit. Either way, you're right.
There are people out there who consider this to be the worst song ever. And yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I mean, it's terrible, but in a particularly 80s kind of way. You know, aiming for mass appeal while still being as cheesy as possible. Perfect guilty pleasure material.
If you have an excessively high tolerance for vapid 80s cheese, this might be your thing. But as far as my tastes go, no.
Overplay burnout happens instantly on this track. I'm sick of it by listen 4. Every little flaw slowly began to stick out, like how completely out of nowhere those synth hits in the verses are, or how awkward the vocal melody is in the verses, or how forgettable and boring the verses are. I also specifically hate how everything veers slightly off key in the pre-chorus.
And not to mention, the lyrics of this song make absolutely zero sense. I mean, the chorus has nothing to do with the rest of the song. The verses start out like this.
Say you don't know me, I recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. Knee deep in the hoopla, sinking in your fight. Too many runaways, eating up the night.
So it says a bunch of nothing, and then, oh, by the way, we built this city on rock and roll.
We built this city on rock and roll.
Where the hell did that even come from? What the hell does it mean? Does it even mean anything? I feel like I could rewrite this hook with a completely different set of lyrics and it would have the same effect. We made this bread loaf. We made this bread loaf with love and elves smashed this light bulb. We smashed this light bulb with forks and spoons, ate a school bus. We ate a school bus with eagle dreams, paved this building. We paved this building with rice and beans.
Number 3. Now, I've spent a decent amount of time going through archived 80s and 90s hits, and let me tell you, it is rare to find something as hilariously dated as this. I mean, this is something. Ladies and gentlemen, our 5 true lords and saviors, new edition.
This is childish beyond belief. It genuinely sounds like something they'd play in a 5th grade health class.
It's just so juvenile in every capacity. It's got this overbearing percussion, awkward bass, 16-bit synths following no real pattern, and elementary level writing performed by a guy with both the voice and the emotional maturity of a 10-year-old.
This dude's singing voice is terrible. I mean, not only does his voice not match his face, he sounds like he's possessed by Elmira.
I mean, child performers are usually pretty bad, but this dude looks at least 16. There's no excuse for this.
I don't know what was in the executive's pipe when he decided to make this guy the lead singer. All I know is, I need some of that.
Add in one of the most ham-fisted confrontational breakdowns I've ever witnessed, and you have it. Everything terrible about the 80s. I mean, really, just listen to it. Can you honestly imagine this song taking place in any decade but the 80s? Not counting the 90s. You're probably thinking these guys are some kind of novelty act, right? But nope, they are a legitimate pop and R&B band with a wide array of hits who were said to have paved the way for acts like Boyz II Men and New Kids on the Block. I guess some stereotypes exist for a reason.
Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. If I love the girl, who cares who you like?
Number 2. Now, as far as bad music goes, 1985 wasn't incredibly diverse. Most of the songs in this list fall under 2 categories: cheesy and boring. It was pretty rare to find a song that was actively painful to any real extent, mostly because songs like that just didn't make it onto the radio. So it's really no surprise that ultimately the most poorly constructed hit of 1985 was also at the very bottom of the year-end list. Out of all the songs the public even remotely cared about in 1985, this was the song they cared about the least. And yeah, I see why. This is awful.
Good God, what is this? What am I even listening to? What tune am I supposed to follow here?
Absolutely nothing sounds right about this song. The vocals and the instrumentation clash pretty miserably. And when the two biggest... okay, let's face it. When the 2 only components in your song don't match, you fucked up. It's especially noticeable on the chorus, where the 2 are basically in different keys. It comes off less like a song and more like a mashup gone horribly wrong. Then again, the vocal melody is such an awkward mess that I honestly can't imagine an instrumental it wouldn't clash with, but that's actually a bigger flaw.
The vocals here are melodically confused at best, and straight up nonsensical at worst. It's basically unsingable, and for proof, take a look at this X Factor audition.
Where I come from, there's a place called heaven. That's a place where all the good children go. I desire is silver, the strips of gold, but there's more where you come from, my sugar walls.
The instrumental even kind of clashes with itself here. For example, there are about 3 different synth loops and absolutely none of them are coordinated with each other. It's just so cluttered. There's so much going on here, and none of it is good. I can tell it's going for a seductive atmospheric feel, but it kind of comes off more like I'm drowning in space.
Let me tell you, from personal experience, this is just about as bad as 80s synth music can get. Absolutely nothing works in this song, not a single musical phrase coming to a satisfying conclusion. It's a sloppy mess from every way you look at it.
And the lyrics?
Blood races to your private spots.
I don't even fucking know. Like, I'm no prude, I know what this song's about, but it's actually pretty easy to completely forget the subject at hand while you listen to it. Half of these lines have no connection to the central theme, even in a metaphorical matter.
Where I come from, there's a place called heaven. It's a place where all the good children go. The houses are of silver, the streets of gold.
So, sex is a place?
Let me take you somewhere you've never been. I can show you things you never seen.
And now it sounds like something out of Aladdin.
I can make you never wanna fall in love again.
And now she's threatening me. Even the title makes no sense.
Come spend the night inside my sugar world.
So the sugar walls are her vagina, I guess, which doesn't really make sense. It's kind of like calling your dick a cotton candy boner. Like, it doesn't line up physically or functionally. And on that mildly disturbing note, here are some dishonorable mentions.
I was living for a dream, loving for
For the guys who made Eye of the Tiger, this is pretty dull and surprisingly forgettable. Shame.
The change in notes sounds like he's singing along to a Simon.
Now I look into your eyes.
Does anyone else think that Lionel Richie is boring? I mean, like, really, really boring? Oh, everyone? Okay.
This is an absolute mess. Awful vocals, a melody that has absolutely no idea where it wants to go, some of the most oddly depressing lyrics out there. It's like 3 separate genres awkwardly conjoined into one. Honestly, I'm surprised this didn't make the cut, because it definitely had my vote.
Ew. And now, number 1. This is not the first retro list I've made, but it's easily the farthest back I've ever had to go. So this is a pretty new experience for me, and I think I've done a pretty good job at making this list as predictable as fucking possible. I think I managed to get the big 6 on here, and I'm not even talking about like a specific group of songs, just like, I know at least 6 songs on this list you personally were expecting. Do keep this in mind, because my number 1 choice will surprise absolutely none of you.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the
Raise your hand who saw it coming.
Oh god, this rancid mess. Quick tip, when writing a charity single, be sure to focus on how awesome it is you can help save lives and not how awesome you are for considering it. Really, it just makes you come off as arrogant and insufferable regardless of your cause.
They didn't even mention the cause in the song, they just droned on about how we should be helping something. I mean, it's great to pump people up for something, but tell us what the thing is at the very least. Doing it like this just shifts the spotlight onto you at the worst possible moment. Yes, please, make the charity song for starving children about yourselves. I get that you were trying to attract the attention of listeners by boosting their egos. When done right, that's a valid strategy, but when said ego boosting is front and center in the song's chorus, all you're gonna do is drive people away.
This is pretty much the worst execution I've ever heard in a charity single. You could pretty much blame the general public's distaste of charity singles on this one song, and I would believe you. Hell, not even the greatest collection possible of star power could possibly save this oil spill of Velveeta. This is basically the Exxon Valdez of cheese.
And it certainly doesn't help that the song is endless. This shit goes on for 7 minutes, twice the length of a standard pop song. And I'll be honest, I tried a few times, made it about 2.5 minutes in. None of this is helped by the fact that this song is so damn slow. I get it, they were trying to be dramatic, but they managed to cross the line into complete absence. You can tell they were trying really hard to make each artist sound like they cared, but the instrumental is just boring and worthless. When a literal chorus of over 100 celebrities can't breathe a little bit of life into your beat, it's time to rethink your profession.
This song is boring, flat, arrogant, insufferable, and is without a doubt the worst song of 1985. I'm Asalieri, and I'm off to grease my abacus.
And I'm the Double Agent. If you liked this video, there should be a link to my channel in the description, and if you didn't like this video, you can go fuck yourself.